haunts of the werewolf. When it comes to legends, few creatures can beat the part man, part wolf entity, best known in present day Western society as the werewolf, for its sheer longevity of mythic status and the degree of fascination humans feel for it. I have often said I don't believe in actual Hollywood style werewolves, but I believe that universal curiosity about possible Lycans is for the reason Elkhorn's Beast of Bray Road catapulted into the national spotlight so quickly and firmly. And by the way, readers may notice that many of the chapters in this book are a bit canine heavy and Wisconsin loaded.
Yep. Yep.
First and foremost is the truth that, for better or worse, I've been associated with the unknown canines for so long that I receive more first-hand reports about them than I do of other things, and I find the original accounts the most compelling. Again, even though we can be skeptical, there is no reason to think that the author is lying or any of the people she interviewed. I have more stories about Wisconsin than other places for much the same reason. I've lived here all my life. I have many years of association to draw upon. More than that, I find that this state is a weirdly inexhaustible microcosm of all the anomalies that are out there. I've
Mm-hmm.
bloomed where I was planted and found it rich soil. Wow, this is so I know this is I can't quote this in the Bible exactly the verse, but it's so biblical. I've bloomed where I was planted and found
Mm-hmm.
it rich soil. Ooh, so good. But
Yeah.
weird things are everywhere. That's true. And I'm constantly acted precisely where. So now we're starting with the first story. Where to find a werewolf? People frequently want to know where they can go see or search for werewolves, dogmen, or upright canines, as I prefer to call them. And that is a tough question to answer. I believe, based on sightings, that they aren't as numerous as Bigfoot, nor are they normally associated with environmental clues like branch structures as are Bigfoot. So their hangouts are tougher to recognize. They rove large territories, I believe, which makes them unlikely to be in the same spot for any great length of time. Yeah, this sounds logical, especially if
Yeah.
they're predators like bears.
Mm.
Like there are cases of bears coming into the human territory in the civilization, and they put them to sleep. They flew them away with a helicopter, put them on a jeep, drove them away like several hundred miles. After that,
Yeah.
the same bear comes back, and they're like, yeah. So this reminds me, like, it makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah, it does.
yeah. Just in case these creatures might be more than simple legends, I also like to remind people to use extreme caution and to remember that many eyewitnesses are so shaken by their sighting experiences that they wish they had not seen one. This is good because sometimes I wish these things are true and I can go and see them. But then when you hear or read, how it affected them and their kids and their
Yeah.
families, it's
Yeah.
almost like a trauma. They carry this trauma until they die. So I'm like, well, maybe they exist, but I don't have necessarily to see them.
Well, and just as Christians, that's something that we should not ignore or disbelieve them. I mean, at very least, believe that they believe, you know, and that they're trauma. If they're traumatized, that's part of what they need people to do for them is to validate back to them that someone else doesn't think that they're lying, and and maybe pray for them and maybe try to expand their mind a little bit because they may not get the idea of like demonic and the fact that Jesus is a solution for that. Certainly not from popular TV shows and things like that. I don't know if you ever noticed this, but on any ghost like hunting show or any kind of cryptid show, I've never seen, very rarely, I should say, have I seen anything happening where Jesus Christ is brought into the picture. And you know, you see lots of other religious sort of remedies, but it's rare, I think, that you find what I would call a born again Christian family experiencing like demonic stuff. I think that's probably rare. But you know, we were I think I sent you this show the other day. It was the latest kind of werewolf documentary by the Seth Breedlove Small Town Monsters group.
Hmm.
And Ward, is it Henney?
Yeah,
You
Heaney,
interviewed
I
him.
believe Heaney. Yeah.
Yeah, Ward Henney. He was on there, and it just struck me. It's pretty awesome. Like one of the scenes towards the end, they were out sort of hunting, investigating these areas. It was dark out, and he said a prayer, and it was the coolest prayer. It was basically a lot like how you kicked it off tonight with your prayer. And they said they didn't experience anything, but they enjoyed nature and the stars and being out in the woods and fellowship with each other. And I just thought that was pretty beautiful and kind of speaks to, maybe how we should be approaching this issue with people who've had experiences like this. Is that these things happen. God is a big God, and He created a big world. We shouldn't just poo-poo it and shove things under the rug. We should minister to these people, and it can be something that's beautiful. It doesn't have to be something. Can be something that's healing. It doesn't have to be something that they're traumatized with their entire lives. They can understand this in light of Jesus and kind of the principalities and powers. Some of the divine council stuff feeds into this as far as understanding what they're encountering and what happened to them.
Mm. Yeah, good. Thank you. That was good. Um, Bearing this in mind, so people desiring that they never witness one of the, um, one of those creepy creatures. Bearing these in mind, one approach is to simply check out places the creatures are known to have been, if there is public access. And remember that most sightings seem purely random and are statistically more likely to occur when people are not looking for upright canines. But there may be another factor that could increase the odds of such an encounter, and that factor is habitat, especially graveyards, deserted buildings. That's strange. I would never associate deserted buildings with monsters. Maybe with ghosts, but not with monsters.
Hmm.
Campgrounds and military bases or installations. Wow, that's also strange. Cemeteries are ubiquitous. It's very hard for me to pronounce the word, but you get it.
You did it.
In encounters
You
with
did.
upright canines. I came across an old piece of correspondence the other day that described a run in with a wolfman or werewolf in a cemetery on a shore of Upper Nashotah Lake in St. Francis near Milwaukee called Seminary Woods. Okay, so this is the first official story for tonight. I'm getting excited. The area is not a legendary stomping ground for upright canines, but is supposed to be a haunted by the figure of a black-garbed monk who lived there long ago. The man who wrote about his experience had gone to the old cemetery located in those woods at about 10:30 p.m. in June 2005 with several friends to photograph what he described as a Wiccan altar and the vampire den when something else grabbed their attention. Once again, what proves to be true is that all these entities, all these beasts, all these cryptids are somehow many times associated with the occult because we have Wiccan altar here, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Only about 50 feet away, he said, stood a creature over 6 feet tall, judging by comparison to some trees adjacent to the figure, and covered in black fur, watching them. It had the head of a wolf. They instantly ran, hearing twigs crunch under its feet behind them as it gave chase. It also made low, guttural, growling sounds as it ran, said the writer, and when they cleared the entrance to the woods, it emitted a howl he described as half pain, half anger. I'm
Ooh.
surprised the creature didn't chase them away within maybe 10 seconds and just destroy them because, they should be much
Yeah.
faster than people.
Yeah.
As
Okay.
afraid as he was after that encounter, the writer said he made numerous trips back to the woods but never saw the creature again. Man, you must be really pumped on adrenaline and not liking your life. You keep going to the same place alone. I admire it, but I hope you have your will and you made safe if you have wife and kids that they're okay after you're gone.
Yeah.
Oh, his friends wanted to just forget it. Smart friends. Two moved out of the state. Wow. Okay. So if they moved because of this just proves of that the story was legit. Like, at
Those
least in
two
my
stopped
mind,
speaking
like
to him.
you were probably traumatized and scared. So two moved out of the state and the other two stopped speaking to him. Wow. I hear that a lot about co-eyewitnesses.
Hmm.
Okay.
I mean,
Pondering the
one thing here,
Mhm.
it's like people react different to trauma. Some people uh, have this curiosity where they need to like chase it and resolve it, and other people are running from it. They just want to shut it off, and not. They're kind of in denial. So that tells me also that that's real because that's kind of a trauma response there to what
Mm.
happened.
Yeah, and I see you have a werewolf head behind you. So were you back in the days one of those werewolf hunters? Is that your trophy behind you?
No, I wish it was. That's actually a poop head emoji stuffed inside of a werewolf Halloween mask, and
It's awesome.
I just keep it in my office because I don't know. I figured it was good to put over there to set the mood tonight.
Cool. I appreciate.
Yeah.
Pondering the fact that this place was known for being haunted by a human-like figure, but turned out to be the site of an unknown canine encounter, I realized that there were many other times and places when people were looking for some particular spooky thing but found dogmen or other unknown canines instead. For instance, I think of the Michigan dogman sighting made by college student John Lyons and two friends near a cabin on a gravel road outside Reed City, Michigan in June 2005. Okay, this is the same time. The cabin once a one-room school. Once a one-room school. Okay, I'm having logical disability almost now. One-room school. How is that working? Okay. Was known for a look. I guess it was a super small school, and no other way I
Yeah,
can
I can
portray it.
I can help you understand. So in the in the 1800s into the probably even into the 1940s and 50s, these small towns would have one building and it would function sometimes as a church and as a schoolhouse, and as sometimes like a community gathering. So a lot of those are still around. In some township, uh, you know, communities will have their like township meetings in these old churches and buildings that were one room schoolhouses and stuff. So yeah, that's what that is, I think.
So it must be very old because you probably don't have many students, so that's why they didn't have need for
Yeah,
more rooms. I'm assuming.
yeah, because
Okay.
back in the day they only educated kids up until the eighth grade, up until I
Mm.
think the 30s or 40s, and so once you passed eighth grade, then you were working at the farm or whatever with your parents, and you weren't in school. So it was, yeah, small schoolhouses.
Okay, thank you. So this
Yep.
cabin or former school was known for a local legend of ghost children crying or laughing in the night. The cabin's owner told me he had heard these sounds himself. The spectral children seemed to have left, however, and the trio instead found themselves stalked and pursued by a gray, 7 foot tall canine on one occasion and a slightly smaller black furred dogman on another. Hmm.
Wow, that's
That
weird.
was the same place I stalked out in 2006 in the wee hours of a hot, foggy night with a cameraman from the History Channel Monster Quest show and Lyons and his friends. And I actually saw the gray furry spine of something. And it's funny how she puts something as italic. She doesn't know. I like that,
Mm,
honesty is honesty. Be honest. What you know, just say it. What you don't know, be honest. Say, I don't know.
yeah,
The
right. Yeah.
unknown upright future, the unknown upright figure partially revealed itself at the edge of a spotlight as it blotted out a 7 foot tall reflected road sign while crossing the grade road, not more than 30 to 40 feet from where we all stood. Man, I'll be running it back in that school or in the car and just just
That'd be
disappearing into
freaky.
the air. As often happens in these situations, the videographer had his camera turned the other direction. Oh my gosh, that's like in some stupid horror movies when they run and they fall, or there's this black um, cat that somehow spooks them and they run into something that they fall and the creature catches them. It's always one of these cliches, right?
Yeah, that's true.
This was my only personal sighting of what could have been a dogman, though I had far better luck with Bigfoot. Okay, maybe we'll see that later. But the original legend of crying children initially brought young people to the desolate location. The hauntings dogman connection also comes to mind when I think of the 2007 sightings by four other young people in Oak Creek, Wisconsin, part of the greater Milwaukee area on East
Fitzsimmons.
Fitzsimmons Road. Yeah, okay.
Yep.
This dead end road leading to a bluff over Lake Michigan has a long tradition as a haunted lover's lane. Okay. The four teens were hoping to see a ghost, but instead, an upright canine jumped out of a cornfield at them and chased them back to the nearest streetlight. Hey, Dane, do you think this does mean that werewolves like popcorn and stuff? Maybe they just like one of those grilled corns? Because I do. Maybe we have something in common with these werewolves.
Yeah, maybe we need to lure them with a little air popped and buttered popcorn.
Yeah, I know. Um, I was there to investigate the site within days and found large canine tracks in a muddy part of the field just off a tractor lane. The wolf creature hauntings connection is also borne out on Elkhorn, Wisconsin's Bray Road, which has several old houses said to have been haunted before the Bray Road beast's first known appearances in the 1890s and 1990s. I've been a guest in one of the homes and listened to tales of creaky stairs and glimpses of ghosts. Their main association to the upright wolf like creatures, however, seems to be that they share a road where strange things seem to happen.